very much. I'm the regional chairperson of the ANC. I'm in the ANC meeting.
Okay. So just give us an update as to what is your feelings about the top six?
Well, I'm very excited. I think that firstly, I accept the outcome and the results. And I want to call upon all the members who are here and outside to rally behind the elected leadership. Because in the ANC, we have different views until the point of election. Where we are now, a president has been elected. President Cyril Ramaphosa is now the president of the ANC. Regardless of the views that we might have had before, it doesn't matter anymore. Where we are, we want a united ANC moving forward. I have had an opportunity to speak to Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. She too accepts the outcome of the election, and we want to call upon all the membership of the ANC to rally behind the elected leadership. We will soon receive the 8 additional NEC members, and we will fully be behind them, regardless of who they are or which slate they came from. Because what we want a united ANC, because we cannot afford to have a divided ANC. The people of South Africa, majority of whom are poor and black, depends on the policies of the African National Congress. So it is very important that we have a united party that will deal with the aspiration of our communities.
Mr. Masina, I'm sure you are anticipating this question. There are reports and interviews that you've done in the past, certain news broadcasts quoting you saying that you would never work under Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. Can you confirm whether or not you did say that and what your views are now?
No, look, sometimes the media is very selective. You know, I've been answering this question, and I shouldn't be answering this question, because immediately there was an article from News 24, and the journalist is outside here. I issued a statement and responded, because in the ANC we don't work like that. I didn't join a person, I joined the organization. So I will never resign if Comrade Cyril is a president. If Nkosazana was a president, I will never resign, because I joined the ANC. What I was explaining that time was people were asking the same question to say, because you support Comrade Nkosazana and Comrade Cyril is going to win, what are you going to do if you are recalled? I said that if I am recalled, I'll wait for the leadership. I'll be prepared if the leadership says step down on reason. But I said to them, the ANC has got lots of complicated processes. So if people wanted to be sensational and say, you don't work with this one. I've worked very close with the deputy president then in the national government when I was a deputy minister. I just had a different preference.
Thank you for the clarity on that.
Well, just taking a look at the last elections that was held, Gauteng lost quite a few support in the province. What do you think is needed from the ANC side to gain that support back? And do you think the top six that was elected now and the conference that was held in general will actually help to gain back the support?
Well, you know, democracy is maturing in South Africa. People are having different options. So a lot of things will happen. So I think that we must not be unfair to the African National Congress. Possibly, if you go around and check, we are one of the few countries where we are ruling with absolute majority. In many modern countries, including in France, in Mexico, and elsewhere, you know, ruling parties have got 83% and so on, because those democracies have long matured. We are undergoing through that process ourselves. What we need to ensure now as the ANC, so that we don't drop below 50, because it's very difficult to manage coalition government, is to make sure that we listen to the plight of our people. You know, people are complaining about jobs, the lack of jobs, that is, are complaining about crime and corruption, are complaining about free education. Let the ANC respond to those things, and we'll have confidence of our people. So that should be the preoccupation. I don't think that we can attribute the loss of metros and this and that to an individual, because we work as a collective in the ANC. We all campaign, and all of a sudden we got less votes, and now we were looking to blame at an individual. And I think that for me, it's the easy way out of the problems. So we need a united ANC that is going to speak with one voice, but also we need a membership that is not so critical or outspoken in social media and against the ANC, because you know you can't as a ANC members we insult each other, then the next day he comes and say vote for Mzwandile. People are normal, you know. The things that we say out there are the things that we should know that people will hold us to account on those issues. So our conduct generally as membership of the ANC must be corrected. The leadership, the behavior of the leadership must be such that they unite all the people of the African National Congress. At lower level, the issues of gatekeeping, of factionalism, and all the things that we have seen, which are new things that are happening in the ANC, I think that must be outlawed.
Mr. Masina, you speak of a united ANC and the ANC speaking with one voice. But on the issue of policy, there's been different views also with regards to the mixed slate. How is the ANC going to come together and find policy direction in a united fashion?
Well, if the leadership that is elected is not humble by what the branches have said, because branches have spoken here, they said unity is the must. In fact, because leaders failed to unite themselves, branches united them. There is no anyone who can say, no, I don't want to be here now. I want to be in my group. So everyone is united by the branches. They must work together. These are comrades for many, many years, some were in exile, some were here in the country, so they don't have a problem. It was an issue of preference. And in democracies, it happens like that. That is why even generally, South Africans, we get a list with many parties so that we can have choices. That's what was happening. So we will not sit here and say, I'm crying, Nkosazana is not the president, it's gone, we have a president now, I'll be singing him, I'll be wearing his t-shirt, I'll be going door to door. And in all the things, I've never spoken bad about him, I just had a different preference.
But not just on the issue of preferred candidate, but on policy issues. I mean, for example, the issue of radical economic transformation. It seems not all of the top 6 have that vision for the ANC. How are those issues tackled?
Well, the vision is not, we are running a party. Whatever that we are going to resolve here, we as branches must hold the leadership to implement the resolutions. And I can assure you now that in our discussions here, there is nothing on the New Deal. There is very lot on radical economic transformation, the land question, the free education, all those things are there. And I have no doubt that Comrade Cyril will implement greatly all those policies of the ANC.
We're just taking a look at the conference and how it has played out, the top 6 and the mixture of the two factions coming together and talking about unity a lot at this conference, especially coming from the media side. We have been lifting this issue quite a lot. Do you think that coming out of this conference, the 2019 elections looking forward, do you see it going better for the ANC?
You know, I've never attended an ANC conference that is so peaceful. You know, we are differing a lot, but if you see us there, you will even wonder, what was this noise about? That's a level of discipline that has been instilled amongst all of us as delegates. And I can assure you that the leadership can read the mood. You will see, even when you announce when they announce the additionals to the NEC, you will see that there is a very strong sense of ensuring that there is unity of the African National Congress. And we want to appeal to members of the media to assist us. The ANC is not a very perfect organization. It's like families. Where we have shortcomings, don't shoot us down. Help the ANC to shape its act, to shape itself such that it can continue to serve the people of South Africa. But the media interferes and takes sides and wants to reduce us into people who are permanently fighting each other, even if we are not. And I think that the question of unity is no longer a question of debate. The leadership has been forced by branches to unite, and I have no doubt that they will work together.
There's also been a lot of discussion and debate around President Jacob Zuma and what the future holds for him within the ANC. We also spoke this morning extensively about the two centers of power, the president of the ANC and the president of the country. Is there concern within the ANC that these two centers of power are struggling?
Well, nothing has been raised at the conference at this point, but you must remember that President Zuma and President Ramaphosa, President of the country and President of the ANC, are in the presidency in government. So they are working together. What I will say that if anyone was to raise an issue, we must learn from history. The recall of President Thabo Mbeki disorganized the ANC in one way or the other. And I don't think that the ANC, which must learn from its mistake, can afford to commit the same mistake. President Zuma is left with less than 2 years in office. Basically, we should be starting. The President Ramaphosa is there in the presidency to manage transition already. I think that it could be a big mistake if as delegate we could have such a thought. But we'll wait until such time that a matter is raised. If it's raised, branches will be here to try and articulate where we are, but I would honestly and seriously advise against it because they are in the presidency together. Let them manage the transition so that we don't suffer like we did after the recall of President Bey.
Now, I'm sure you've also been asked this question quite a lot, but we have been shut down by many ANC members saying that there will not be any court action. So in regards from your side, how do you see this playing out? Do you think that there will be any court action in regards to the SG position, or do you think that coming out of this, like you said, the ANC is united and there will not be any court action?
Look, we generally need a special resolution in this conference about the courts. Courts have become another branch of the ANC. We joined the ANC voluntarily, and we've got internal systems in which we resolve our problems. Many people, even before they resolve the problems, they run to court. I think that people must know that they've joined an organization voluntarily and abide by its rules and conduct themselves in such a manner that if they have problems, they must resolve them internally, because always running to the court is not a solution. We had a conference here. Democracy has prevailed. I don't know why anyone would want to think about the court. I came here with a different expectation. I come out as a changed man. There's a new president. I embrace it.
But like you mentioned, Mr. Masina, we still are seeing members of the ANC run to the courts to deal with these issues instead of dealing with it internally, even though structures have been set up internally to deal with those. Does that then not suggest that there are certain loopholes and that the structures that have been set up are not effective enough?
Well, I don't think we must liquidate the ANC to the courts. The courts have got a very important role to play to resolve societal problems. Organizations set up mechanisms to resolve their own internal disputes. Let's stick to those issues.
But are they working, those internal
structures? Well, they are
structures?
working. We would not have had this conference if they were not working. I honestly think that they are working. That is why we're able to resolve many of the internal challenges. Where we are, let's resolve those challenges moving forward.
And also taking a look at what has happened here at the NEC, we do know, or at the National Elective Conference, we do know that coming in there were some disputes about votes that were not supposed to be counted. They were saying that those conferences were nullified, the PGCs were nullified. And then the ANC took it up and said no, to not have further court action, we will not let these people vote. So if we take a look at the top 6 and we take a look at how that situation has been handled, do you think that this is a way of handling it so that the courts are not supposed to be stepping in? Do you think it's just a type of manner of dulling the situation a bit?
Well, I don't want to be prescriptive because there is leadership. The ANC must find a way of resolving its internal problems internally without the involvement of the courts. And the membership of the ANC must understand that we are running the organization that is not perfect, that will never be perfect, that will always have gray areas that we must understand and accept. But this organization has got a very important role in leading society. So we can't afford to be spending a lot of time in courts and all those issues.
Mr. Masina, what was the issue with the SG position? I mean, as the media, we haven't been informed on this. There's talk of 68 votes
I don't
and
know.
so forth.
I don't know. Nothing has been raised to us at plenary. And I've been saying that I don't know, because if there's an issue, I think the elections team must come and explain. But what we know is that we all voted, and the ballot, the way it is, it didn't have my name, Mzwandile Masina, my phone number, so I wouldn't know what happened to my ballot. If it's there or not there, those monitors and election team and the entire, it's a whole system together. I believe, and truly believe, that my ballot was counted and was counted correctly. So I would appeal that you ask that question to the IEC, because from where I'm sitting, I don't know what is the dispute, unless if there was a report there, I was going to say, this is what has been reported.
Fair enough, fair enough. But then does that not cast doubt and a shadow on the election process? I mean, if there's this glitch or perceived glitch, then can we be assured that the election process was run correctly?
Let's wait for the report, because at this point, I don't know. I don't want to take the media assumption as a fact. There is no report at plenary with regard to whether or not there is a problem. I'm sure if there is an issue, the leadership is discussing it, they will come and report. ANC is a very transparent organization. But at this point, I don't know what is the problem. I'm moving from the position that we've elected the top 6, we are rallying behind all of them. I'm not moving from the premise that there is one who's got a problem and so on. I have not picked up that issue.
Well, speaking on the issue of the top six in the Secretary General position, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa has not really raised his voice on this issue. He has not really addressed the media on this issue and spoken and said, this is the situation, this is how it is handled, we are busy handling the situation. So do you think in his speech that we can hear today that we can expect him to say something about it or mention it or perhaps just take a leadership stance on it?
Well, I don't want to preempt the maiden speech of the president. I am looking forward to listen to his views, his articulation. The message that I am dying to hear is a message of unity of the African National Congress.
Let's zoom in on policy, Mr. Masina, and something that the youth has really been calling for is the issue of education in the country. Free tertiary education. We've seen hashtag Fees Must Fall protests. We've seen students threatening to shut down universities across the country. How far are we away from potentially allowing that and giving the youth what they're asking for?
A day before the conference, at the conference here, the president did announce that from 2018 onward, there will be free education in South Africa, and we commend him for that. And I think that we are in the position to say to society that which the ANC has fought for many years will now be realized. There might be some technical glitches there and there, but I believe that once there is that bold statement from government of accepting that free education is a must, is commendable. There might be many other issues of looking into the fiscals and so on and so on. We think that we've made a great progress, and we must thank those young people who were so resilient that we all push for free education. We've done the same in the ANC articulation in terms of policies here, and we're quite excited when we had that pronouncement by the state president.
And just taking a look at Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa and going forward and being the president of the ANC, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing him at this point in time?
Well, the biggest challenge that is facing the deputy president at this point is to ensure that the unity that has been developed as an outcome of this conference is sustained. Secondly, to deal with some of the perception that has always been raised, especially with regard to the leadership. But thirdly, ensure that we win the confidence of South Africans towards 2019. Those are the three major things that I can think of quickly.
And on the land issue, another pertinent point, an issue that's been plaguing South Africans, land issue, creation of jobs. What has been the discussion within the ANC around these issues?
Well, there will be a report that will come through from the ETC, but very robust debate. Remember that we came from the policy conference. So the national conference here, we approve the outcomes of that. There are some deliberations. So I would want to, let's allow them space. They've already started reporting in committees. Let's allow them space so that they can be able to extensively give you a brief on some, because I attended one commission. I might not be able to articulate all other commissions that you might be asking. So I would want to request that.
And Mr. Masina, how late can we expect plenary to start today?
Well, I don't know. Some commissions are finalizing. I'm sure in the afternoon, commissions will come back, report, and we'll take it from there.
And also, we have been waiting since this morning for the announcement of the NEC, those 80 names. Do we have any feedback in that
We
regard?
are all waiting.
We are all waiting.
We're all waiting.
Anxiously waiting.
Anxiously so.
Mr. Masina, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We
Thank you,
appreciate you chatting to us this afternoon. We are going to unpack everything that you've discussed with us, Mr. Mzwandile Masina, joining us here in studio at Nasrec in Johannesburg as we continue to discuss pertinent issues facing South Africans.